If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin the Thursday edition. It is VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross here at Circus Sports in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. He's our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. Where to begin on a Thursday morning? Woo! We've got, of course, we're going to get to all of our Major League Baseball. We're going to get to the wildness it was in Dallas last night with the Stanley Cup final in the West beginning there. Derek Stevens throwing out the first pitch last night for the Angels and A's. I mean, there's so many things that we got to get to on this program. But Jensen, you and I said yesterday in the show, if we could be anywhere in the sporting world last night, was not the world's most famous arena the place to be, Madison Square Garden, for what we saw in epic Game 1 between the Pacers and the Knicks, my friend.
And not only that, but in our line of work, what did we also ask for? We asked for a great game, a Knicks loss, because today would be just a day of days to talk about it. And I think we're still catching our breath about, number one, the comeback, and we'll get into the numbers and everything. But number two, it's the overall run of dramatics by the Indiana Pacers for the postseason. Yeah. Not just yesterday, a microcosm of it, Dave, but I mean, between the Stars comeback, just overall, what a phenomenal day of playoff sports. And this will be an all-timer, especially the way Tyrese Halliburton had one of the iconic choke signs reminiscent of Reggie Miller there at the end of regulation.
There are so many tentacles, some homages paid to the past, like to do that in real time for Tyrese, to have the presence of mind to do that, like you said, with Reggie Miller to Spike Lee way back in the day. This series is just so live right now. We'll get to all those numbers, but again, what a show we have coming up. Greg Peterson is going to join us here in just about 10 minutes from now to break down everything in Major League Baseball. The tush push, 24 hours ago, we're here doing the program, and I believe you could have bet for the tush push to survive would have been plus money at plus 250. It looked like for all intents and purposes, it was dead. It lives on. So a flip there. We'll talk about those implications. Mike Palm, who was there with Derek last night in Sacramento. Can't wait to have Mike in studio. And, of course, Palm's pressing 3 today. And then Rachel Dory. It's been 4 days since Toronto's been bounced, and now Edmonton with their loss. What are we doing to Canada? What do they do to deserve this with what's happening here? So we'll catch up with Rachel and everything going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But without further ado, let's get to it, our highlights and headlines.
Help your bottom line with today's highlights and headlines.
If you're watching at home on VSiN.com, I love the picture that we have for you today. It is of Tyrese doing the choke sign to the Knick faithful. I don't know if he did it to Spike Lee in particular, but Spike was there, so it could have been a double dose for Spike decades later, like he got one from Reggie Miller. But a stunning loss for the Knicks as the Pacers win in overtime. Halliburton had 31, but there were so many other stars to go around. Neesmith, his heroics down the stretch, and the numbers associated with this game. Now, 138-135 is officially the final here in overtime. So, again, if you had the over, which is where I ended up settling before the game there, that was never a sweat. But if you had the Pacers plus 4.5, also like I did, I thought it was dead. I was like, there's no chance. Then you sprinkle a little bit of plus $1.55 on the money line like I did. You went, oh, my goodness, this is just – it was too much to ask for. So, Halliburton, if you missed it down the stretch – they're down 2 after a missed one of 2 free throws from OG Anunoby at the line. And then he comes down, Jensen, and he's got a path to the lane and to get to the cup and decides to do what Halliburton does, kind of that spinorama, goes back, jacks it from top of the key, it's almost the dramatic TV movie bounce to the heavens of the rafters of MSG and then goes straight down through the net. We all think the game's over. Toes on the line. It's a 2, not a 3. They got to go beat them twice, and they do it in overtime. Jensen, I got to tell you, I think if they had just won right then and there, it might have been actually easier to handle for the Knicks. But then to beat them for 5 more minutes in overtime after the deflation of not winning it in regulation for the Pacers, that tells me even more about how much staying power Indiana might have.
No doubt about it. So you mentioned the dramatics of how the shot ends up going in. My first thought was back to Kawhi Leonard.
Yes.
I believe it was with the Raptors, right? You know, remember how that buzzer beater ended up going through. And then also just the final 3 minutes, of regulation is, I said at the top, it's a microcosm of Indiana's postseason run. My favorite stat of the night is, and besides, the numbers, and I'll let you give the people, because I still think people are kind of wrapping their head around what the actual live numbers were. My favorite stat, so the comeback is complete. Since 96-97, this from the official Pacers Twitter page, teams that have trailed 7 or more points in the final 50 seconds of a fourth quarter or overtime in the playoffs are now 4 and 1,702. The Indiana Pacers have 3 of those 4 wins
insane.
This year.
It's
this
insane.
Postseason. Wild to wrap your head around.
I can't wrap my head around that one. Again, 4 out of 1,702, and out of the 4, Indiana has 3 of them in the same season. That's insane stat. Our own Mitch Moss posted this on X, and Mitch wrote that the Yesers, that's our hashtag here, Pacers, were 8-1 after Nesmith just went nuts down the stretch. Hit that 3 to make it a 123-121 game with 22.1 seconds to go. And Mitch asked, I can't imagine how high the number was before that. We've got the answer. It was 40-1 when the Knicks had a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. Now, look, again, I told you I had 4.5, thought that was dead. There's no way plus $1.55 is going to come back and win. I never in my right mind would have thought, down 17 in the fourth quarter. Let's fire up the old 40-1 of the Pacers. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that probably did it, Jensen. But how about the one for Mitch that with 22.1 seconds to go, when the comeback is now fully on, and Nesmith hits yet another 3, and it's a 2-point game with 22.1 seconds. You know the foul game's happening at that point. But 8-1, maybe because we've seen these collapses. But for all of those things to happen, the OG Anunoby missed free throw, Tyrese has got to do the pirouette, and then somehow that ball bounds way up in the air and straight down through the hoop just to get it to overtime. I mean, even to catch the 8-1 seems like you had a let's call it what it is. You got to get some luck, and you got some of that there. I don't know where the Knicks go from here. I'll tell you this, though. The Pacers are now plus 475 to win the title. They were 7-1 a night ago, so that number's been shorted over $2 here. You get over 40 from Brunson and you lose, and you don't play a lot of guys, and you see the way the Pacers can run at them. I mean, Jensen, there might be trouble, real trouble for the Knicks going forward.
We had previously this week here, Dave, where a lot of our great colleagues at the network, Berkey was with us yesterday. Wes Reynolds was talking about it, JVT, about taking the series spread as far as games go. So now you're sitting pretty here. If you're back in the Pacers, plus 2.5, they are now minus $1.65 on the series price. Knicks are plus $1.35. And maybe the one that we can give ourselves a pat on the back about, telling people if you jumped on it. Thought if you are a Pacers backer, not only for this series, Dave, but also if you felt that they could take down the NBA title, that Tyrese Halliburton at 11-1 to be Finals MVP would be a very smart bet. Maybe a Pascal Siakam is a long shot at 35-1. That number's almost in half now after game 1. Tyrese Halliburton plus 650 and Pascal Siakam now 25-1. But I tell you, just a remarkable finish to an instant classic in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
And let's not forget the 8 of 9 threes by Aaron Nesmith there with 30 points to help that comeback. Just insane. They just would not guard him. And he even said afterward on the telecast, hey, they didn't guard me, so I kept shooting it. It's like, they're not going to check you. We just keep firing it. It worked. I don't think this is a massive surprise, but it is a massive headline. And we have another international MVP in the league. I believe this makes it 7 straight years we've had a non-American win the MVP. Canadian Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, of course, wins the MVP for the 2024-2025 season. And look, Nikola Jokic's numbers were just flat out better, but it's one of those deals we talked about in the NFL. Lamar Jackson's numbers were better than Josh Allen's. They just were. Right, but yet sometimes the narratives are going to take over, and we're not going to give it to Jokic because we've given it to him before. We've already given it to Lamar a couple times. Let's give it to Josh Allen. Now they give it to SGA. Do you have a problem with this? Because if you're betting in these spaces, this is why I do not like these markets at all, Jensen. Because numbers be damned. Sometimes we have to go with narratives, and it's like let's give it to SGA, the best player and the best team. And I get that rationale as well.
Yeah, this does it for me. I will no longer be in these markets. Again, the best player, you average a triple-double for the season. You basically will your team back from so much adversity. And, you can make an argument that just for SGA on his team, a couple of guys that were worthy of other Player of the Year awards in various aspects. So, hey, if you take SGA off the Thunder, are they still a playoff team? Yeah. Are they still a top 4 team? Probably. If you take Nikola Jokic off the Thunder, I don't know if they make the postseason. So that does it for me. Enjoy all these Player of the Year and MVP markets for all you out there. We'll cover it. My hard-earned dollars will go somewhere else because, come on,
I'm with
man.
you.
It's average a triple-double for the year. You should win the award.
I couldn't agree more. Again, we're trying to get in heads of voters sometimes, and I saw that, of course, our guy Shams Charania, he broke the story, and then Giannis Antetokounmpo retweeted Shams. Said, what? Did Shams get hacked?
That was good.
That's a pretty good one by Giannis,
That was good.
right? Kind of throwing it out there. Like, and obviously we all expected SGA to get it, but I like Giannis with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek there as well. So much more to get to. I mean, what a start. We got to get to the Stanley Cup, obviously, but a big day in Major League Baseball. And we'll catch up with the one and only Greg Peterson. He is up next when you come back with us right here, Thursday edition of VSiN By The Books.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis here with you on this Thursday edition. The man who never sleeps, and we're appreciative that he doesn't, is the one and only Greg Peterson. You can give him a follow on X, as I do at GUnit_81. Greg Peterson joins us here at the Progressive Guest Line. Before we get to your baseball selections today, what did you make of that frantic comeback by the Pacers last night, Greg? Because I think the world is still shocked. You could have got 40-1 on the Pacers in the fourth quarter. Mitch Moss tweeted I could have had 8-1 on the Pacers with 22 seconds to go in regulation. Did you see that coming? Like, this game ain't over the way the playoffs have gone so far.
Yeah, I did not see that coming personally, and I was on air for the overtime as well, and I was just in complete and utter disbelief as to what we saw. Aaron Nesmith becoming Steph Curry 2.0, just one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen, and this really has been the greatest NBA postseason I think we've ever seen, because both of these teams, the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, have just shown the ability to come back time and time again. And I think that the way that we need to bet these playoffs right now, whichever team gets down double figures, that's who you bet. Just do absolutely nothing else. You don't have to do any other research. Just teams down double figures. That's what I'm betting. And that's because they just have been making so many wild runs. And I think that is big with regards to this postseason. Just be able to gauge a game, be able to gauge just what these teams are doing in general, and look for good opportunities to be able to get a better number.
Yeah, GP, and also for people that are looking at those teams trailing at halftime as well.
Yeah.
I think now the second half spread, teams that have trailed have covered that. It's like 15-2, 16-2. The last 17 or 18 contests here in the postseason. Listen, we are getting at least a pretty good look here at maybe some teams that will contend in October in Major League Baseball. Let's tackle a team that I think all of us looked at, the National League East and the Philadelphia Phillies. They are taking advantage of their schedule right now. They have always played well in the Mile High City. Another outstanding offensive matchup against German Marquez this afternoon in the series finale. How do you have this one handicapped?
I'm actually looking at the under, and what is really difficult about this Colorado Rockies team is finding cheap ways to fade them because they are really taxing you, but all of them have been profitable. Like if you got plus $5 on the money line on the Colorado Rockies in every single game, you would not be breaking even right now. They have got 8 wins and 41 losses. Like a skid mark on the underpants of baseball right now for the Colorado Rockies. And the way that I do take a look at the under is just that I do think that German Marquez, who's got north of an 8.70 ERA, is going to see some positivity. The Field League Independent is 4 points lower, but on top of that, Ranger Suarez has been really good since coming off the injury list. First start was terrible, gives up 7 runs in 3+ innings. Last 2 starts, though, a combined 14 innings, gives up 3 runs. And the Colorado Rockies, they just can't hit anywhere. They're averaging 4.3 runs per game at home, and Coors Field is supposed to be a cheat code for offense. So I'm looking at this total under, and personally, I'm still looking at -2.5, -3.5 run lines for the Colorado Rockies. I know that it's juice, I know that it's X, but it's been coming through every time.
You are like the meme right now. I, too, like to live dangerously, playing that under with the Rockies in Coors Field against the Phillies today. Boy, if you're playing the unders in the Pirates games, Greg, you are cashing tickets just about every night. Much to my chagrin, they can't score, but neither can the Reds. They take 2 or 3 out of Cincinnati. Now they go on to Milwaukee here, seeing a total of 9. How do you handicap this one today?
The Pittsburgh Pirates have scored 4 runs or fewer in 26 straight games.
Wow.
That is a record in the live ball era. They have not scored more than 4 runs in a game in a month. It's just absolutely wild what we've seen here. And for the Pirates, the pitching has actually picked up for them a little bit. You're going to have 2 guys making their first start of the season for the Pirates. You've got a young guy, Mike Burrows, who beat for AAA Indianapolis. He was able to give you about a 2.5 ERA. He's giving you about 11.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. And for the Brewers, you do want to take a little bit of caution that this is a little bit of a tax bullpen. They had an 11-inning game yesterday against the Baltimore Orioles, but Carlos Rodriguez is another one of those good arms out there at AAA for the Nashville Sounds. And this Brewers team has done a really good job of being able to develop these young gun pitchers. I think that he's going to be able to go out there against a Pirates team that they're not really hitting for average. They're not really hitting for power. They're not doing a good job with men in scoring position, and I think they get another low-scoring game. But with the Brewers, they were set as a little bit of a favorite from everything I've been seeing. I'd be willing to go up to about a -130, -135 of that money line.
I like it, GP. Also, the Pirates will be a featured product in our Daily Diamond later on today. Have a sneaking suspicion that history could be made again. History being made if you're a New York Mets fan, because apparently Juan Soto forgot how to swing a bat.
Wow.
He may be lost, and maybe the worst is yet to come here. However, the Mets get the better of the Red Sox yesterday. Another tough outing for Garrett Crochet. But today, maybe a bounce back for the Red Sox to try and get back to their winning ways.
Yep, absolutely. With the Boston Red Sox, they are taking on the Orioles, and the Orioles are right around like +105, +110 underdogs, and I just don't understand it. With Lucas Giolito, I recognize that he's been rough. Even in his last year during the 2023 campaign, he spent some time with the Cleveland Guardians, the Angels. He was passed around like a basket of breadsticks, and he had a 5 ERA. He's got a north of a 7 this year, but for Cade Povich, north of 5 ERA, and for his career, north of a 6 ERA when he's away from home, giving up a lot of hard contact, not getting any sort of strikeouts whatsoever. And this is an Orioles bullpen that they had to throw a lot yesterday with that 11-inning game against the Milwaukee Brewers. They have not been good in general outside of Felix Bautista and to a little bit of a lesser extent Brian Baker. And for the Orioles as well, only averaging about 3.8, 3.9 runs per game away from home. I do think that that goes up a little bit going up against a guy in Lucas Giolito, but I think that with the Red Sox having the likes of Rafael Devers be able to pick it up, not picking it up with his glove, but picking it up with his bat, being able to have all these guys be able to match the way that they do, I do think that they get into that bullpen. I think that they get to Povich. So I'm looking at the Red Sox on a very affordable money line at that over.
I don't understand this. Yesterday, the Orioles were 50-1 to win the division. They win in extras yesterday, and now they're 55-1. Go figure. Can't figure that one out. Greg, I want to ask you this one as well. How about the Stros? Tough one yesterday with Hunter Brown on the mound. They don't get it done against Tampa. So what do you make of the Astros today in a possible bounce-back spot at home starting a big series against Seattle?
This is one of the things I love to do. I love to fade pitchers making their first start off the injured list. George Kirby out for the first 2 months of the season. And the George Kirby that we all know and love is a steady Eddie pitcher. He only gives up about 1 walk per 9 innings. Command is really good, but I just don't have a lot of faith in him in this start because of what he showed in his AAA rehab appearances. 3 AAA rehab appearances for Tacoma, which that's out there in the PCL. That's a juice ball league. That's where you're playing at a lot of elevation, a lot of warmer temperatures, what have you. But north of a 70 ERA was giving up a lot of hard contact. And I do think that Lance McCullers Jr., who hasn't pitched on a big league mound in 2 years, he's starting to round into a little bit of better form. First 2 starts of the year, just really bad. He looked a little bit better last time out. But what I like about the Astros here is that when they see that Lance McCullers is struggling, they take him out of the game right away. And this is a bullpen that ranks in the top 6 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. You've got the Bryants, Brian King, Brian Abreu, both give you a sub-3 ERA. Josh Hader's starting to look like that guy that we all know and love. Caleb Ward has been solid as well. And for the Seattle Mariners, it has been a little bit of a suspect bullpen as well. So I'm going to be taking advantage of that fade of George Kirby in his first start of the season. And I do like the total over as well.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating really to see, and just kind of an extension of our Seattle focus here, Greg, is looking now once they get both Kirby and Logan Gilbert back. I had picked the Mariners to win the American League West. They've really been able to tread some water with some of those starting pitching injuries. I know I asked you about Cy Young and looking at some of these markets as well. With Hunter Brown getting touched up a little bit yesterday, maybe a buy low opportunity with his odds drifting a little bit in the American League race?
The guy I'd actually be looking at is Max Fried because it just feels like he's not necessarily getting the love in the market that he deserves. A little bit shorter than 5-1 to be able to win. And he has been nothing short of magnificent for the Yankees. And I thought that was an offseason acquisition that went a bit under the radar. I felt like the hate went a bit too far on Max Fried when he had a little bit of a shaky second half of the season for the Atlanta Braves. This has been a guy that's been nothing but consistent throughout his career. Is this an outlier of a year for his Sanders? Absolutely it is. He's not necessarily one of those strikeout artists that's going to give you like 10 plus strikeouts per 9 innings, but he does a really good job of inducing soft contact. He doesn't put guys on cheaply. It feels like his stuff has been playing really well at Yankee Stadium. The guy that I think really has some value out there in the Cy Young Award market is Fried.
Boy, Jacob deGrom goes 7 strong yesterday, 2 earned runs. That's it in the boogie down, 9 Ks. Can't get a win. They blow it late. Greg, for the rest of the people out there, what's the rest of your day look like? Because you handicap so many darn things here. Are you going to still get your run in, or are you already got that in?
Oh, we already got that in. I did the VSiN Primetime show, did a spot there. I then went in. I did the show cashing out. I then got back, uploaded my podcast. We took the jog. We took a shower, got on my 3rd suit in the last 11 hours. So all the people are seeing my wardrobe on display right now. And then after this, I'll probably do some sort of a 5 a.m. beer review because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Doesn't matter if it's a.m. or p.m. And then from there, we'll just have ourselves a good swell day, and I'll be back with you guys later on tonight.
That's why you got to give him a follow on X. The man's life should be a movie. Greg Peterson, everybody. Give him a follow, _81. Greg, you're the best. We appreciate you as always, my friend. If you have not checked out Edge Boost, you got to do so today. It's a first-ever bank account that's built just for bettors. It ensures all of your gambling transactions are always approved, no usage fees, no minimums. You're going to earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all your betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet. Use the promo code book title of this show. Deposit $25. Edge Boost going to match that deposit. That's edgeboost.bet. Talking NFL win totals, breaking it down next year. VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Great conversation with Greg Peterson in the last segment, talking all things Major League Baseball. Of course, we're still wrapping our heads around what happened last night in Madison Square Garden. So much to get to. Going to get to the Daily Diamond later on as well. Plus, big news out of the NFL in the a lot of the rules. Like I always talk about this, Jensen. Like we get on the officials a lot. a lot of it is bad rules that they implement that the officials have to then adhere to, right? You got to enforce the rules, whether they're good or bad. That's why you do this in the offseason. We'll get to some that were shot down, some proposals that I'm really surprised did not go through. We'll get to all of that before the end of the show today. But we've been doing this for every single team in the NFL. We'll continue to do it here over the next couple of weeks. And that really is break down these teams by schedule. Because once the schedules come out, that's why we're going to have Mike Palm in later on next hour as well, why they hold those win totals on teams here, at least at Circa. Other books across the country, check your jurisdictions. They did put them up there much earlier, but they wait because for them here at Circa to really get a firm handle on what the numbers should be, they want to see the schedules. Now, one of the lower ones you're going to see out there is for the New Orleans Saints for a lot of different reasons, okay? Their win total, they only won 5 games a year ago. Remember Derek Carr, he got hurt. Then all of a sudden we heard about the shoulder injury before the draft started to leak out a little bit. And then not only did that story become a story, it became the end of Derek Carr's career as he retires. So now Tyler Shuck is the guy that they draft as their potential starting quarterback. We'll figure out what that looks like. They pass on Shedeur Sanders. Now their win total is sitting at 6.5, which, I mean, look at the juice. Minus $1.80 to the under. I mean, I think you're going to be able to find some 5.5s out there. I do believe some books, they're going to start to maybe come down to 5.5. Is this a 7-win football team in year number 1, by the way? Don't forget, Kellen Moore is the new head coach down there in the Big Easy.
Can you find me 4 wins here? And let's start early because I think, and again, we always like to put our survivor hats on here. You hate taking road teams, but I believe that a lot of people will look at Arizona, new quarterback, rookie quarterback potential, new rookie head coach, trying to get things installed. What do they look like? Arizona, a team that people feel like could compete in the NFC. You know, is that a sneaky spot where you try and get the Cardinals through against a Saints team that still trying to put the pieces together and get on schedule, if you will? Going doesn't get any easier. Then you got to, basically go through the gauntlet of the NFC West. How about that? 3 games against arguably the toughest division out there in conjunction with what we'll look at in the NFC North. So I'm with you, Dave. I think that if you're looking at a win total for the Saints, you don't play it at any of the numbers listed. You look for alternates.
Absolutely.
And whether you think that, I don't know if you ladder it down, could they, I know you and I have kind of gone back and forth. Is it the Saints or the Browns you want to play for fewest wins in the regular season? I think the alternate market is the way to go for the Saints.
I said this time last year, wish I'd listened to my own advice. I'd looked at Tennessee, and I thought they might be the worst team in the NFL. You could have played them 12-1, I believe it was, somewhere in that number, that area. Of course, I didn't play it, and who turns out to get the number 1 seed? Tennessee. I think we could be looking at the Saints next year, right? If you just look at paper and say, what's their offense going to look like? Look, Kellen Moore, maybe I'm scarred as a Cowboy backer through the years. It did look better last year in Philadelphia. The personnel he had in Philadelphia is going to be very different to the personnel he has in New Orleans in year number 1. I think it's going to be a tough road to hoe. The survivor implications are interesting to me because if you did look, say, week 3, if you don't want to, I'm with you. The Cardinal game week 1, even at home, it's got like 31-12 written all over it, right? Like Arizona comes in there and Kyler Murray and, Gannon keeps it rolling there out west and they get a nice road win in week 1. Kind of like I did like Minnesota this time last year going to New York, if you remember that game to play the Giants last year. It was a little bit uglier, but Minnesota got that done, kind of kickstarted their season. You could see that for Arizona as well. But I do think week 3, if you want to hold and see exactly what it looks like with Kellen Moore early, maybe going out to the Pacific Northwest, cross country, right? And I do like what McDonald's doing out there with Seattle. That might be a spot for me to play against the Saints on the road in Survivor. What do you make of that if you want to wait a little bit down the beaten path?
Yeah, that feels like another popular play and perhaps one where, you just got to kind of be with the masses there, right? If you look at the rest of kind of the week 3 matchups, I think that probably lends itself maybe a bit more. Again, we try and advocate you don't want to go divisional matchups here. So, Atlanta, Carolina, not a game you can tackle. Arizona, San Francisco, not a game you can tackle. that in and of itself, I think is something to look at. So the problem being, though, Dave, and intrigued your thoughts too, is that if you are at those limited opportunities, so if I was ever going to go for, maybe a road team in that spot, I mean, do you take the Chiefs in, the game against the Giants, coming off two really tough ones early in Brazil against the Chargers, Super Bowl rematch against the Eagles? For all intents and purposes, Chiefs could be 0-2,
right?
And in a must-win spot, and then you're looking at the motivation factor there. But yeah, it would certainly be one early in the season that you would look at and absolutely tackle if you're back in the Seahawks.
Let's look at Arizona, because if that week 1 game against the Saints is not something in Survivor that you're looking to fancy here, because you don't want to play the road team week 1, you never know exactly what these teams are going to look like. Arizona is an interesting team in an interesting division to me. 8.5 is the win total here. Slightly juiced to the under, minus $1.20, and I understand that concept. This was an 8-win team a year ago, but remember, they were in first place down the stretch, and they faltered down the stretch with those 2 losses to Seattle, really crippled their chances of getting into the postseason. But I do like what Gannon's doing. I got to say this, too. Kyler Murray's a guy that, I know when Michael Lombardi and I used to do the show, we used to be semi-critical, Michael would be, of Kyler Murray, and I understand that. I actually give him his flowers a little bit for last year. Coming in, mid-season, could have shut it down on a team that was theoretically going nowhere. And, I thought he played really well last year. So all of a sudden, how do you view this Arizona Cardinal team? Because the schedule doesn't look particularly daunting, but again, it could be one of those divisions where all 4 teams beat each other up, and that's why these win totals are sitting right around 500.
I think they have to get out quick, and it is favorable before they have to match up with a couple of division opponents there with the Niners and the Seahawks. They get no favors, though, having those back-to-back divisional games on a short week, right? You got Seahawks Thursday Night Football, albeit not a far trip, if you will, up to San Francisco in Santa Clara, and then come back home to face Seattle. But the rest of that first half before the bye should be able to beat Tennessee at home. Should.
Right.
You go to Indianapolis. We'll see if it's Anthony Richardson, Danny Dimes. We'll see who's quarterbacking there and what that looks like. Now, remember, that's a body clock game too. Okay, 1 p.m. So that's going to be, 10 a.m. a local body clock time. And then, you have the Packers in a showdown game before the bye. So I think, again, if you're looking at those if you don't take them in week 1, you could come back perceivably in week 2. And be in a great spot to tackle a Carolina team that we still are anxious to see if they take another step forward from what they did at the end of last season.
I'll just say this, too. If you're looking at that game that I know I'm looking at for Arizona, in the middle of your column, if you're watching at VSiN.com, when they play the Cowboys in prime time, you know what Kyler Murray's record was in high school in the state of Texas?
Pretty good, right?
43-0, 3 consecutive state titles playing for Allen High School. He was Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year in 2014, National Player of the Year multiple times. All he does is win in Texas. And by the way, the last time they went down there to Jerry World, guess what happened? They won. It is bizarre. So again, Cowboy backers like myself, be very wary of when Kyler Murray steps foot in the state of Texas. That's all that guy seems to do whenever he gets back home. So that would not be a Survivor play for me. I'm just saying, throwing it out there for Arizona. But I'm pleasantly surprised with what Gannon's doing, and certainly I think the resurrection of Kyler Murray as a leader of that football team. I think he should get his just desserts for doing that. If you have not checked out Sharp Plays, you should do so at sharpplays.com. Before the line moves, they're already going to start moving them. They don't chase the market. They move the market. So you're not going to be trying to outmuscle those billion-dollar sports books or full-time professional bettors on your own. Sharp Plays, they're going to help you do just that. They're going to be powered by cutting-edge AI, trusted insider sources. Sharp Plays delivers the edge that serious bettors rely on. You're going to get free betting reports, real-time alerts, and market-moving insights, all delivered right to you via email and or X. And this is not some overnight startup. They've been around the block here since 2011. They got receipts, public logs, and results right there on the website for you. That's why they are respected, watched, and feared. That's The Sharp Plays. Check them out now at sharpplays.com. Okay, we got a lot more to get to. And when we come back, we're going to try to wrap our heads around not only what happened in Madison Square Garden, but what went down in Dallas last night in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and then we'll spin it forward with our games today. That is next when you come back with us. It's VSiN By The Books.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis here, as we really do try to wrap our heads around what we saw last night, not just in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and the Pacers. By the way, 138-135 final score. It's the most points ever scored in the history of an Eastern Conference Final since the final came into existence. So you saw more history last night with that ridiculous comeback by Indiana to take that 1-0 lead. Again, as you mentioned, Jensen, earlier in the program, they are now the odds-on favorite to win this series. How quickly things change after the Knicks somehow, some way, figure out a way to lose. And it is something you and I talked about on the show yesterday, and we had Sean Little on. It was a great conversation. And I jokingly said to Sean, the Knicks blow this thing. I wonder if they'll be looking to fire Tibbs after Game 1. And, I don't know what else he can really do, because all I keep hearing, Jensen, is the bench. They got to play more guys because Indiana's going to run them ragged, right? Is that if I'm going to my second, third best guys, is that really the pathway for the Knicks, who are now plus $1.35 to win this series? Because I'm kind of looking at this thing and I go, I don't know what else to do other than Anunoby hits a free throw, or you don't turn it over late. Maybe you missed a foul call where it looked like Josh Hart's arm got grabbed on an inbound play. There are little things here that do switch the balance, big picture of a game. I can't lay this on the feet of Tibbs, because if we did that, again, those two 20-point comebacks that the Knicks had against the Celtics, yes. Is that all Joe Mazzulla's fault? I wonder how we do this in the blame game.
This is the overall. I'm glad you brought up the other series, and we know that the Pacers have been part of this. To the Bucks, the Cavs series, and now with Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. This has been the most egregious example of not only an NBA postseason, but postseasons in general that I can remember. Such astronomically high leads late, not like at half, late into the final minutes, into the final 48, 50 seconds. That you have these kinds of collapses. Dave, I'll tell you as a former player, it's on the players.
Yes.
You've done all the coaching you can do, okay? Unless it's an inbounds play that's scripted, that in anyone's right mind, you're like, why would you run it there? We haven't had that. It's been player execution has not been there. Guys mentally have, I think, having been around teams that this has happened to both positively and negatively, the emotion of the moment gets to you in a way that if you're not on the court, if you're not on the field, you'll never understand, because it hits you like a tidal wave. And you are trying, you've been trained to try and execute, muscle memory, whatever. It just leaves you, man, because you are not prepared for that. You don't practice giving up 10-point leads with 20 seconds left. You just don't do it, because it's not in the realm of possibility of any sane person's mind. So I don't know how you come back from this, at least in Game 2, if not the series. There's going to be a hangover effect here. And from a handicap standpoint, Dave, I would absolutely look at the Pacers in the first quarter or the first half of Game 2, because I think there's still going to be a bit of that stunned factor here for the Knicks. Hey, man, it is one of the great games that we'll see in NBA postseason history. And I go back to Halliburton, man, and I know it was organic. I don't think he had it planned. The fact that happens with Reggie Miller on the call, I don't know how you script it any better if you're a Pacers fan.
The choke, and then he even said afterward, he's like, I thought it was over. Of course, his toe's on the line, so it's not over. Now they're going to go win it again, and they do. And I kept thinking to myself, like, they can't blow this now, can they? They didn't. Even fell behind by 4 in overtime. And by the way, to that point, like, Jalen Brunson wasn't tired last night. You look at his numbers, they were absolutely sensational. 43 points, 15 to 25 shooting, 12 of 14 from the free throw line. The team didn't shoot it as well, 28 to 40 from the free throw line, 70%. But Indiana was only 75% from the line. So I don't want to throw this at Tibbs. That's kind of the point here. It's just what Jensen said. Sometimes athletes, you see it's coming, you feel it's coming, and this is at those moments you try to rein it back in. The Knicks couldn't do that last night. Tip your cap to Indiana for being able to do it and get that historic 135 win. There was one last night in the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. And I'm flipping back and forth, and I'm thinking to myself, man, Pacers are dead. I'm out on that game. So let me flip over and see how, because the last I saw, it's 3-1 Oilers going to the third. And then all of a sudden, bing, bang, bang, we get power play goals all over the board, and Dallas has got a 4-3 lead, and they go on to tack on a couple others late. And not only does the over easily get there, by the way, that was 6.5, soars over that, but the Stars come all the way back, cash your ticket on the puck line as well. So if you cash that at plus $1.85, kudos. I know, Jensen, you were on it. 6-3 Dallas wins. It's not the same comparison to the Knicks and Pacers, but when you've got a 2-goal lead going into the third period on enemy ice, and you're kind of quote-unquote trying to steal one, you've got that game in command. I wonder if there's going to be a hangover effect here for Edmonton in Game 2.
Great call. Cover your ears, Edmonton Oiler fans. Our great friend and colleague, Jonathan Davis, some just phenomenal nuggets here this morning. Okay, if you're a Stars fan, you're loving this. If you're an Oilers fan, this one's going to hurt. Okay, third time that the Oilers have blown a 2-goal lead this year in the playoffs.
Ooh.
Prior times that it happened, Game 3 against Vegas, they were up 2-0 in the first period and lost 4-3. Game 2 against Vegas, up 3-1 and 4-2, lose 5-4 in overtime. They did come back in Game 1 and score those 4 unanswered against the Golden Knights there. But I got to tell you, I was with you, man. I thought my puck line had absolutely no chance whatsoever. But here we are again, and I know our producer, Brandon Valesky, loves this too. The third period has been magic for the Stars the entirety of this postseason. And obviously we go back to Game 7 against the Avalanche, the hat trick that might be the miracle on ice for the Stars here with Mikko Rantanen. But since that moment, it has felt like the Stars have not been done at any juncture in the third period whatsoever. It finds its way home yet again yesterday. And I don't know if there's a hangover here for the Oilers because it's a must-win scenario. You don't want to go down home 0-2. But I'll tell you what, this is just another example of the prowess of what the Stars have shown offensively going up against arguably one of the great hockey offenses in the postseason this year.
You don't see 5-0 in a box score in a third period like you see last night. That's Dallas outscoring Edmonton 5-0 in that third to win that one 6-3. Now, the numbers have moved accordingly here after Florida. By the way, they're going to have Game 2 tonight against Carolina. We'll get to those numbers as the show goes as well. But now with Florida winning on enemy ice, and they were already favorites, by the way, short favorites, $1.25 coming into that series against Carolina. They are now still plus money to win the Cup at plus $1.50. Dallas is now the second betting choice at plus 210. Edmonton slips to 4-1 to win the Cup, and then Carolina is plus 550. Now, in the series pricing here for the Stars and Oilers, after that dramatic comeback last night for Dallas, Dallas has vaulted to a $1.90 betting favorite. Remember, I said this yesterday and for the last 2 days. If you like Dallas, I said, man, grab that minus $1.10. Like it was even money, basically, with home ice. And those $1.10s are gone. And now it's $1.90 after that Game 1 comeback win. Edmonton, by the way, plus $1.60 to get this comeback here, down 0-1. Here's what I think I'd probably end up doing, Jensen. If Edmonton loses Game 2 again, and they're down 0-2, and again, we talked about it in real time when they were down to L.A., to the Kings, with Jonathan Davis. If they're down 0-2 at that point against the Stars, I might dip back in on the Oilers and see what the number looks like. Once we officially write them off, because I do think they're going to fall down 0-2 to Dallas, then I might look and say, all right, they're going to go back north of the border, and it's going to be that good Canadian air that's going to cure them and get them back in the mix. I don't think I can bet them now, Jensen, but I think I might wait and see if they lose game 2 and then see what that number looks like at that juncture.
And again, let's go back to our exercise that we did for the NBA. And if you were a Pacers believer in not only winning this series, but the finals, Tyrese Halliburton 11-1 to win finals MVP. Connor McDavid now 5-1
Bam.
to win the Conn Smythe. Draisaitl's at 14-1. So again, if you don't like the series price or if you don't like the rollover, those are probably other angles to attack as well.
Love it. By the way, I had a little 4-teamer last night. I had the Pacers in the over, and I had the Stars in the over. Thank my lucky stars. I mean, come on. Like that's one of those.
Going to dinner.
You're right off. You go, and then that ticket's just burned up. And you go, what? How did this get into my account? That was very nice. NBA playoffs, of course, are heating up. Boy, are they ever. Our partner over at ProfitX, they're offering the best odds all playoff season long. ProfitX is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40 or more states. You're going to be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than the books. That's a big advantage because those exchanges, they're going to guarantee you the best odds on average of 10 to 20%. You can even request your own numbers. Download ProfitX today. Use the code VSiN, and earn up to $200 in profit cash over your very first month. So sign up for ProfitX and do so today. When we come back, will we see some tushing and pushing in Philly? We'll discuss next year as we begin hour number 2.
This is your before and after story. Southeastern College can help you prepare for a secure and fulfilling career in the growing healthcare field. We offer a wide range of careers to choose from. So whether you want to be a medical assistant, medical billing and coding specialist, nurse, surgical technologist, or another healthcare career, we've got you covered. Become a vital part of a healthcare team and make a real difference. Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sec.edu to get started.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.